All right, Chris Peaks here with Brandon Mosley for our BCS State of Alabama podcast. And we got retired Army Major, Cullman County Sheriff's Deputy, Major Patrick Bishop, who is running for the Republican nomination to be Alabama's next lieutenant governor here with us today. Hey, Major Bishop, so my first question for you, you was in Mogadishu, and assuming you've seen the movie, how realistic was what took place to Black Hawk Down?
99.9% accuracy. The
Really?
only major difference was the movie was shot in Morocco. That was the only difference. But as far as the accounts, the radio traffic that I can still remember like it was yesterday, very accurate. Very accurate.
Um, Mr. Bishop, could you, give the audience who may not be aware of your campaign a little bit of your history and your career so they kind of know where Patrick Bishop came from?
Good question. Born and raised in Birmingham. I grew up in an area known as Kingston. That's the name of the uh, neighborhood where I grew up. I attended Kingston Elementary School. Then I attended Christian Elementary School. Then I attended Jones Valley Comprehensive Magnet High School, as we used to call it. If most of you remember, the city of Birmingham, this wisdom closed several schools in the late 80s. Jones Valley High School is one of those, to include Banks and a few others. So I left Jones Valley and went to Ramsey High School. When I left Ramsey High School, I joined the Army, which was my lifelong dream since I was 5 years old. For whatever reason, I want to jump out of airplanes. My mother and father would tell you I jumped off of everything from the house to the steps and everything else. I got to Fort Bragg on a Friday in 1990. That Monday, I was in Saudi Arabia. That was the fastest weekend of my life. But I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, Special Operations. In 1993, I went to what you know as Task Force Ranger. I served on the QRF. I still have my E5 orders where I spoke to the sergeant that they faxed to the country, when we had fax machines. So as a bug sergeant, I was in a firefight every 30 seconds on October 3rd, 1993. But prior to that, Task Force Commander General Garrison told the Clinton administration and Les Aspin, who was the Secretary of Defense, exactly what we needed for a successful mission. One of those things we needed was up-armored vehicles to protect us because we knew exactly what we were going to do. The Clinton administration told us no. I think you all know what happened. We lost 18 American lives because of that decision, but we balanced the budget. And what was the cost? So at that point, as soon as I got back in 1993, this young 19-year-old Democrat joined the Republican Party. So that's when I became a Republican in 1993. I was your typical Ronald Reagan, Alex P. Keaton from Family Ties. I was that guy. I was a true conservative, and I still hold those values to this day. I left the Army because my parents got sick in 1996. I joined the police department in 1997, the Birmingham Police Department. I worked West Precinct. After 9/11, I went back on active duty once I got my commission. Serving there, I served in various roles, mostly again in special operations and an anti-terrorism role and public affairs role. But my area of operations mostly consisted of Korea, South Korea, and what have you in that area. I retired in 2017. When I retired in 2017, I joined the Alabama Board of Pardons and Parole. Now, this is where it got hairy. Coming back to law enforcement, you think everything is going to be on the up and up, and people are going to live up to what they said. When I interviewed in Montgomery, I was told, Pat, we're glad to have you. You bring a lot to the table. Your caseload should be no more than 75 to 80 people, which was, as a matter of fact, the policy at the time. When I quit in 2019, I had over 300 people on my caseload. Sir, that is impossible to manage, for anyone to manage. So I left there and then became a chaplain with the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department until I was hired by the Cullman County Sheriff's Department in 2021, where I currently serve. In 2022, I did what I've always wanted to do, which again is to serve the people of Alabama. I ran for lieutenant governor. It was myself, and Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth. Well, in 2022, I caught COVID for the 4th time. I was literally on my believed to be deathbed, which is why I had to come off the ballot. But it's my way, I guess, God saying, look, I want to bring it to your attention, but now I need you to wait until 2026. So here we are in 2026. I run for lieutenant governor just to make Alabama better. And my campaign is based on what my drill sergeants and parents taught me about, which is common sense.
Wow, what a story. Hey, Major Bishop, do you think, I was reading about the changes in the military today, like, they can't do the swarm attacks anymore, or shark attacks. They got 3 drills, yelling at somebody.
No, they hurt their feelings.
Do you think you could even imagine what it'd be? Because I went in like 2001 after 9/11. Could you even picture what a basic training facility would look like today? I mean, considering you went through Ranger School and Special Forces.
This is what I will tell you. Matter of fact, I was in the National Guard when I got off of active duty in 96 because I missed it so much. Backstory was I was home taking care of my parents. There was a knock at the door. There were 2 SF recruiters at my door. And they said, we have your file that was sent to us. Would you consider joining us? I said, well, right now I'm taking care of my parents. I do miss it. They said, do me a favor. Just come by the unit with us. So it's 20th Special Forces Group, which is headquartered here in Birmingham. I got to the unit, and I was walking around, and I saw 2 gentlemen outside wrestling. One gentleman flipped the other gentleman, and the other one flipped the other one, and so forth, so forth. They got up, they shook hands, and laughed it off. When the other gentleman put his blouse on, it was a major wrestling with a sergeant. I said, wow, this is a great unit. This is what it's all about. I said, put me back in. Because I miss jumping out of airplanes. I would jump out of an airplane right now if I could, but I don't think my wife would go for it. So 9/11, I was at Fort Bragg at Special Forces Assessment Selection. And this is what happened. We were in the map reading room. I had just received a Red Cross message the day before that my uncle had passed. And I told them we'll see what happens with SFAS to see how we move forward. The commander and some NCOs came in and said, ladies and gentlemen, excuse me, a lot of ladies, gentlemen, we're under attack. So we looked at each other like, okay, this is a scenario. We're under attack. Okay. And the commander said, is there anyone in here who has a relative who works at the Twin Towers in New York? One guy raised his hand. They escorted him out. Then he asked, does anyone have a relative who works at or anywhere in D.C., especially at the Pentagon? I think 4 guys raised their hands. They escorted them out. That's okay. You guys go to chow, come back in an hour. So I was talking with another classmate. I said, I guess they're going to be the Op 4. That's not going to work that. So we get to the mess hall. In the mess hall at Camp McCall, the televisions are on the wall. So as we enter, we see, okay, this is not a scenario. We are really under attack. And that's how I found out about 9/11 at Camp McCall. But
so when they brought you back, when you rejoined after 9/11, did you have to do a tour in Afghanistan or Iraq?
NDA, non-disclosure.
Understood.
Bishop, compare and contrast what it's like being a, military special forces and being a police officer.
Accountability, which is why I demand in this race. I don't think we've seen people being held accountable, because if that was the case, we wouldn't have the issues that we're having right now in this state. Now, what I love about the Cullman County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Matt Gentry is a Marine. My captain, Army guy. My lieutenant, Army guy. My sergeant, Army guy. So we play by big boy rules. We hold each other accountable. And that's what I love about it. There is no difference in our agency. Now, of course, across the spectrum throughout the state, we've seen several instances where law enforcement officers are going to jail, to include corrections officers. We talk about corrections and that hypocrisy because we know at the Alabama Department of Corrections, there is no correcting going on. there's rape, mayhem, and murders. And that's sad because some of these correction officers are the ones that are bringing in the drugs. So, like I said, I was a parole officer for a long time, and I would have a lot of them come and tell me, Officer Bishop, we can get more drugs in prison than we did on the street. I was worse coming out than I was going in. And I can truly believe that after I saw a certain program I'm sure that you saw. So as far as accountability, we have that here at the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department. So I will take those ideas and ideals to Montgomery
Mr.
with me.
Bishop.
Because like I said, I'm sorry? I didn't hear you.
I didn't say anything.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was me. My internet was acting up a little bit there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, finish, Major Bishop.
I won't take those ideas with me to Montgomery. My mother and father, I never had everything I wanted, but I had everything I needed to include some good discipline. My father, our opponents, we talk about where we come from or what have you. And one of my opponents made a good statement. He said, you know where a man's going or where he came from. That was a factual statement. My father didn't have a real high school education. He cleaned up around construction sites. My mother, have either of you seen the movie The Help?
No, sir, I don't think so.
Okay. It was about a group of maids who banded together. My mother was a maid. She worked over the mountain in Mountain Brook. And I lost both of them around about 15 years ago. And I think they'd be very glad to see me where I am today because I'm still living those ideals that they taught me. So I compare and contrast law enforcement and the military. It's just that from my mindset, it's all about where you came from and where you're trying to go and what you bring to the table. And I thank God that Sheriff Gentry and his staff saw that in me when I applied in 2021 because they hired me based on the content of my character.
Representative Bishop, Mr. Bishop, for the folks that don't know, the Alabama Senate took away a lot of the powers that we used to have at Lieutenant Governor.
Yes, sir.
What exactly does Lieutenant Governor do today?
I'll explain it like this. And Chris, you understand what I'm about to say. As Lieutenant Governor, I have two missions. One mission to preside over the Senate, and in case of a tie, cast that tie-breaking vote. Second, most important mission, to if it happens, once and if the seat becomes vacant in the governor's office, to assume the job as governor and engage accordingly. Those are the two biggest missions that a lieutenant governor has. Me being a mediator, as far as in Montgomery, I would dot the I's, cross the T's, find out where we have common ground, and push appropriate legislation. Where we have disagreements, I will mediate between both sides and get it done. Now, you often hear politicians say, oh, I'm just going to reach across the old aisle. No, they're not. No, they're not. That's a copy and paste. I wish they would stop that. That is a copy and paste speech you hear all the time. Well, I'm not a politician. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Pat Bishop is not a politician. I'm a military man who happens to be a spirit that is not afraid of anything or anyone, and I demand accountability. Most politicians don't. Now, the craziness about that is, yes, I'm running for a political office, but I'm not a politician. I am a civil servant. I've been in some type of servant of the people since I was 5 years old. Ever since they put the crossing guard on me, crossing sign guard on me when I was 5, I've been in serving someone ever since. The first time I stopped the car, put the flag out, I said, okay, I can do this. And I've been stopping cars ever since. So I want to take that same mentality to Montgomery. Just stop the craziness. It's not about us. It's about the people. Big money does not own me. In my campaign, I have taken no dark money, nothing from Alabama Power. Believe it or not, I have been offered money that I said, no, thank you. I don't know of anyone else that does that or has done that.
So, Major Bishop, what will you miss most about law enforcement if you become the next lieutenant governor?
Here, especially at Parkside Elementary School, I'm going to miss these kids. I've had some of the parents tell me, we're going to vote for you, but doggone it, we don't want to lose you from the school. Mr. Camaraderie. Like I said, the Coleman County Sheriff's Office is the closest thing I've seen since the military. Great job, great place. I miss being able to catch the bad guys, miss being able to engage a situation from a law enforcement perspective versus just now being a witness if it happens. I think that's the biggest part of it. And after being law enforcement almost over 30 years, it's going to be a hard transition, but necessary because you're still serving. You're policing the Senate. You're policing the state. So there's still some similarities.
Mr. Bishop,
yes,
sir. On some of the issues, the state is currently being sued by the federal government, saying that our prison system is inhumane. Hopefully, we win that. But what do we need to do so our prison system is not the federal government, the Department of Justice saying that ours is the most dangerous system in the entire country?
I guess the question I would ask you is, and most people in Alabama, is do you agree with that? Now, based on what I've seen and based on what I know, I would do any and everything I can to keep people out of prison. Now, if they choose to go, i.e., if they choose to go, if they continue to break the law, you're going to be convicted, you're going to prison. But our Alabama prisons are some of the worst in the country, and that is factual. Now, the first thing I have to do is find out, how did we get there? Why are we still there? Why has nothing been done? We talk about it, but nothing's been done. We throw money at it, nothing's been done. We have to change the leadership from the top to the bottom. My thought process is, and Chris, you tell me how you feel about this. In the military, you rotate somewhere every 2 to 3 years. We do the same thing with our law enforcement inside of our prisons, and that's our correction officers. Rotate them out every 2 years so they don't get comfortable. They rotate throughout the entire state or every prison, or at least 3 prisons, 2 or 3 prisons, so they don't get comfortable. We need to also infiltrate them. One good TV I think I saw was, I think it's 60 Days In or something like that. I love it. Go in, let's root out the people who are in charge, who are allowing this craziness to happen. Let's put them behind bars. Let's turn the table on them. I support that. I want to immediately replace a lot of people at DOC. I replace a lot of people at pardons and parole. Let me ask you a question. Our parole board, what's been the issue with them so far? We're paying them to release what, 2, 3 people every time they have a hearing? Does that sound right? I propose to, instead of a parole board, I propose to have a quarterly board of individuals who are already getting paid. And those are our prison wardens. Who knows those prisoners better than the wardens? True, false, right or wrong, yes or no?
That's an interesting point.
No one knows these people better than them. You have a board that sits there with a folder. They look at the folder, talk amongst each other, and say yay or nay. But the wardens know yay or nay before they even get to the panel. It's just common sense. Like I said, a lot of these issues can be fixed with common sense, the basic common sense that God gave us. And that's my plan.
But
throwing billions and billions of dollars at prisons. Now, true, there are some. Let me give you an example. Tutwiler, complete mess, needs to be replaced, along with several others within the state. But there are some we just need to fix what's there, replace the people who are there. But at the same time, you can't pay people pennies and expect them to give 110%. It's just not going to happen. So there's the fixable way. I do have a plan, if allowed, to put in the action.
Major Bishop, you said something interesting that about if people choose to go to prison.
Yes,
and I've got friends who are that are prosecutors, and they said that they do everything they can to try to. They are now trying to do everything they can, try not to send somebody to prison as long as they try to act right. Being on somebody who worked on the pardon and paroles, and you got a unique perspective. Do you think that we should look at more into that about not sending somebody to prison for a nonviolent offense? Because it seems like we're just creating a rotating door with these people.
Absolutely. Diversion programs. And again, and Christian as well, we have several veterans in prison that they really shouldn't be there because they have mental defects. Right. There are a lot of regular civilians I've seen go to prison for mental defects. That's not the place for them. For whatever reason, the state closed a lot of mental facilities around our state, and that was a bad situation. Because who winds up dealing with these people? We do in law enforcement on the street. Prison is not where they belong. Now, there are several counties throughout the state that don't have a veterans court. Cobbin County has a good one. Pale City. St. Clair County has a great one. Jefferson County, great one. I want to see a veterans court in every county seat. I think that's appropriate. We have diversion programs that truly work. We have mentors that these people are assigned to, probation officers that these people are assigned to. So yeah, I think we can make a difference. Let's keep these men and women at home with their children. I believe in workforce education because a lot of people, to put someone in prison for marijuana or any other nonviolent action is just, and I got it, it's situation dictates, every situation is different. But we can do better with our diversion programs. I believe in workforce development. We have people that go to prison that don't have a job, don't have a trade. Under my plan, you will not get released from prison unless you have a GED or a trade certificate. And once you're out, I believe in job placement. If they have a job, they're paying taxes, they're not breaking in your house, okay? They want to be at home with their families, and they enjoy going to work, and they're making a living, they're making a retirement, and they have been corrected. It's common sense. But when you make a mistake and tell the entire country that you want to privatize prisons, wrong answer.
Mr. Bishop, the city of Birmingham's, like they had that period from about 2020 through 2024 where the murder and the shootings rates just soared. I think they're set their all-time record, I want to say in 2023 or 2024. A lot of that, was young people, a lot of them teenagers riding around in cars with like four of them in the car, and they all had weapons, looking for other young people to gun down. What are we doing wrong, or what can we do better as a state so that we can sort of identify these little fellows at 14, 15 years old, so maybe they don't end up hardened criminal, killers and are locked up the rest of their lives in our prisons?
One part of that, like I said before, is accountability. Why is a 14-year-old out at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning? I truly believe in holding these parents accountable. 2, our state representatives. I have a question for you. Who supported lowering the age to possess a handgun from 21 to 19? Who voted yes for that? That's my.
Oh God, I can't remember now.
And I'm still looking for that information. Who voted yes for that? Because to me, here's my question. How old do you have to be to possess alcohol in the state of Alabama?
21.
How old do you have to be to possess tobacco in Alabama?
Is it 21 now? I can't remember.
It is.
Yeah,
it's a handgun. To possess something that takes someone's life, you have to be 19. Tell me how that makes common sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. I have issues with that. And it's non-political. That's why I'm not a politician. I will not play the game. No one owns me. No one. I'm here to fight for the voters. I will be their voice. I'm going to be their voice. I just need people to go and vote for a common sense candidate on the 19th of May and on November 3rd. It's not about parties. It's about platform. It's about people. Yes, I'm a Republican, which means I represent all people. And someone said, well, how can you be a Republican versus a Democrat? Well, here's my thing. I want you to look at all three. I want you to participate in the democratic process as you fight to finish republic with an independent thought. So take all three of those when you go and cast your ballot for Pat Bishop. Send a military man to fight for you. I've taken lives for this country, which is in essence, I've saved lives for this country. I've always fought for you. I will always fight for you until the good Lord gives me orders to go home.
Well, that's an awesome statement there, Major Bishop. That's very powerful. So let me ask this right here. Go back on Brandon's question. So what you're saying is with accountability. I mean, we have to do a better job of raising these kids before they get to 14 or 15, and they will not be in that situation.
Have you seen the video of the young lady? I forgot what state, but her son and some other juveniles went to rob a veteran. Veteran returned fire, and he killed the teenager. The mother said, and again, I forgot what her name is, where this happened. She said, how dare you have taken my son's life? He only wanted to rob you. I nearly fell out of my chair. That is insane. That made no sense to me. I'm of the opinion that statement was just, I see that as a reckless statement. We can do better. My son just wanted to rob you, but you took.
No, I missed that one.
Look it up, brother. Matter of fact, I will send it to you when we hang up. I will send it to you.
Okay.
I mean, what does that say about our society?
I mean, I seen something like that the other day. This woman, she had these laundry detergent. She was teaching her daughter how to rob from Dollar General. And then when they stopped her, she started yelling at the man, how dare you stop me? You know, when we're doing this, like, so you're teaching your children to rob?
Facts. And again, and Birmingham's not the only city. You have Birmingham, Mobile, various areas in Baldwin County, a lot of areas throughout the entire country. It's just that we see it every day. Monday, I think we had a shooting and a standoff in Pelham. The guy's name was Rodriguez Monroe. That Tuesday morning, I had a classmate from high school, matter of fact, very good friend of mine, one of my best friends, Derek. He called me. He said, did you see what happened in Pelham? I said, I heard about it. What's up? He said, that was Rodriguez Monroe from high school. I said, wait a minute. Light-skinned Rodriguez Monroe, the one that had all the girls in high school crazy about him? He said, yes. I said, what happened? He said, I don't know. And I looked it up. It was Rodriguez. And I just don't get it. I don't know why people do what they do. And again, it's all about accountability, but you have to find a root cause. Because for every cause, there's an effect. For every action, there's a reaction. So I'm always curious about that. But as far as our gun laws, I don't care if the age was 16 to carry a gun. My son is not going to have a gun at 16. So my question is, why are parents allowing this?
Mr. Bishop, the current Lieutenant Governor, Will Ainsworth, he had a disagreement with the governor about roads. He thought we should prioritize 6-laning I-65 from Mobile all the way up to the state line. I think the governor wanted to build, allocated a whole bunch of money for the West Alabama Highway, which she wants to build in 4-lane from Florence to Mobile. Are we doing roads right, or could we do better?
When's the last time you've been on I-65?
My office is in Montgomery, and it's an adventure. It's one reason I'm here in my truck instead of driving in my office, because you don't know when you're going to get there, and you really don't know when you're going to get back.
I was stuck on I-65 on yesterday when I left an event at the Hoover Country Club where I spoke to the Republican Women of the South. That interstate from Alford Avenue all the way to Green Springs with every bit of an hour standstill.
Yeah.
Insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from my understanding, the state is actively investing in infrastructure, which creates our roads. The Rebuild Alabama Act, it funded over $392 million, I believe, or what have you, to improve it across all 67 counties. But here's my thing. As long as you're doing something and it's for everyone, how can you see a problem with that? I reached out to Lieutenant Governor Ainsworth's office last week for a meet and greet and also to discuss some of these things, and I've yet to hear back. So as long as it is for everyone, because everyone is going to use I-65. The more lanes you have, my common sense tells me the safer traveling would be. We have fewer homicides on our roads. Again, it's common sense. That's all I'm using.
Major Bishop, I mean, is there anything? I think we've kept you over 30 minutes. I think is that the time we had. So I don't want to take up any more than you've allotted for us. Is there anything else that you would like to say to people before we close this out?
I will. My number is area code 205-240-7574. Call me. And I'm not trying to copy and paste Shannara, but call me, Alabama. Call me. If you have questions, concerns, call me or text me. My wife will tell you I will sit up all night and answer phone calls and text until she tells me to go to bed. But again, I'm a servant of the people. Now, your politicians are not going to pass their numbers around throughout the state. Now, if you try to sell me a timeshare, I'm going to block you because I get too many robocalls every day, even on my county cell phone. But please, on May the 19th, vote for Pat Bishop. For the last 3 years, I've been listening to CeCe Winans, who's a gospel singer. She has a song called Believe for It. Let's move the immovable. Let's break the unbreakable. On May the 19th, let's see a miracle. Send a military man to Montgomery who has a spirit that is not afraid. I am an officer and a gentleman, and I promise to continue to fight for you, not special interest. You all are my special interest. Facts. Research me. Often joking say I have 2 daughters, Siri and Alexa. Okay? Talk to them. Talk to your phone. Ask them about me.
Thank you so much for being on, Mr. Bishop.
Thank you, Major Bishop.
Thank you for having
me. Stop recording.